My name's Sam Anthony. I run a hyper-local news platform called YourNews. The domain is yournews.com. It looks like any daily newspaper. We just operate in every city in the United States. Currently, we have over 5,000 news reporters and are growing daily. And ultimately, everybody knows the legacy media is going the way of the dinosaur. What we do will become the next mainstream media.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I'm so happy to bring you this story about YourNews.com. And Sir Sam is going to give us the game because he didn't go to school to be a publisher or to go write, but he has found himself with, like you heard, so many journalists and so many journalists out of work that they're so happy to find a place to have a home. Sam, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Man, great to be here. Good to see you.
You as well. I want to start off with, if you can remember the number you showed me, and I'm sure you can get the ballpark. How many journalists, probably majority went to school, maybe even got a master's degree like I did in mass communications, are out of work right now and have been out of work?
Well, this is on LinkedIn, and these are the people advertising. There was a lot of people that were laid off 4 or 5 years ago that went freelance, and finally they took another job and they took themselves off freelance. But currently, people that are freelancing are 480,000, and then there's almost a couple 100,000 students that came out of school that can't find jobs. So you're talking almost 700,000 people. That's just in the U.S. Globally, I didn't show you, it's over 2 million. Crazy.
2 million. Should it even be legal to give a a degree in journalism?
Well, so, first of all, let's start by saying I'm not the one that created this problem. Okay. It's the internet that created the problem, but legacy media is all changing. And, I didn't do it. It was the younger generation that did it. I mean, I'm 60 years old. I grew up watching, cable news, reading a local newspaper, the old stuff that people did back in the day. Right. And today, due to the internet, people have choices. My choices were 4 channels. That was it. Fox, CBS, ABC, NBC, and maybe CNN, right? So maybe there's 5, but that's all you got in 1990. They had a penetration of over 50% of the United States. Today, look it up on Google. What's the daily viewership of all network television news stations? It's 2.5 million people a day. That's it. They're literally reaching less than 1%. It's over. It's over. That's it.
Wow. I told my kids that, I said, hey, I was born in 81. We had like 12 channels, and so it was very easy to find, why you like Mama's Family, why you like Twilight Zone. There was nothing else on, and shows that you didn't even want to know, Laverne and Shirley. But they were entertaining back then, but we played outside. With that, you've created YourNews.com. People are really taking this serious. And I want to make it very clear before people try to flood your site and say, oh, I'm about to pay my mortgage this month. Kind of give them how it works, and the realistic payouts is why I love what Sam was talking about and why he's on here, because this is not a get rich quick, people. So kind of lay out how journalists can benefit from YourNews.com.
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt? Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit MillionaireX.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
Absolutely. So first of all, let me give you the quick model itself, because the model is the exact replication of the physical world minus all the print and distribution costs. And then it has a social component where the public can interact and contribute to the narrative locally. So in essence, we put the power to press in the hands of the people. Media people don't really like that, right? But, everybody can have a voice. So here's how the news business works. And this. People that have news will send a press release to the media. So if you're a nonprofit, like a church or the Cancer Society, the church is having a bake sale, Cancer Society is having a 5K run. Somebody from the nonprofit sends a press release to the media in their market, radio, TV, and print. So the news organizations aggregate that information, and then they decide what they're going to air or publish. What we are is an aggregator of the same content. but we have the ability to publish it all because we have no cost and we can organize it by subject and geography. So all news is either city, county, market, state, regional, or national. Somebody's Little League game is not national news. It is sports news for Loxahatchee, right? Or in just that city. The high school football game, even though it's played in Loxahatchee, is sports news for the market. Markets are defined by television DMAs because people want to know who beat who. Maybe Loxahatchee played Palm Beach Gardens, right? So it should be throughout the whole area. And then obviously the Monday Night Football game is national news. So we are a news content distribution platform with massive scale. What we're doing is bringing all the country's information under one umbrella and creating one uniform media. You heard the expression, information is power, Kellen? You heard that expression, right? He who controls all the information has all the power, right? And everybody will give it to you freely. Now, when it comes to news reporting, the world has changed. I think YouTube led the way with the monetization. So do you remember years ago, there was no monetization for YouTube. People just created a YouTube channel. They were just broadcasting and bringing an audience. And so it really didn't take off because I think it started in, I'm going to guess, 05. And then it probably didn't really get legs until like 15 or something like that. Over the last decade, it really just started getting crazy. But they went to monetization. And it was based on how many people viewed your content. And this has kind of been the standard. And the reason for that is, if you know anything about digital marketing and digital web advertising, which I'm assuming you do, when you buy an ad in a newspaper, if the rate's $500 for a little business card ad, how many people are going to say, I don't freaking know. Okay. With digitally, you know exactly how many people your ad is served up to. So the customers want to know, right? That's why they have analytics and reporting, right? So somebody could say, I want my ad to appear, 1,000 times or 100,000 times, and they get exactly what they paid for it. So the way the system works with whether it's YouTube or us is it's based on your users, how many people are watching or consuming your content. So in the case of YouTube, the guy that has 100,000 viewers is going to make more money than the guy that has 10,000 viewers, and rightly so, because he's more popular, which means he's earned more money, right? And we're not quite yet in a socialist country. I know New York's going to be there soon, but that's not where we are. And I can assure you, if you had 100,000 views and I had 10,000, and I called you and said, well, why don't you split it with me? You'd be like, no, that's not how it's going to work. So that's how ad models will work in the future. And so from the content creator side, what they need to do is the content creators on YouTube are the brand. YouTube is not responsible to make you a rock star. You are. You're just leveraging their technology. With me, the content creators, the news reporters, are their own brand. It's up to them to create compelling content that attracts an audience. It's up to me to create tools to enhance revenue for them, like a follow button, like you would have on YouTube, where you can follow your favorite, and every time they post, you'll get an alert. We're in the process of doing that stuff. And then it's going to be, making sure that we're selling more ads, which then the bigger we get, the more ad revenue comes in, the more that gets dispersed based on where the ads appear. So that's our job. Now, we have not been funded by hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So this is one of the things that I'm looking at, Kellen, is, I'm in the process of doing a capital raise, but it's easier when you have massive capital to expand and grow and bring in money. We were never funded that way. So we're doing this bootstrapping it with a little amount of money to scale this thing up. But we've been able to get to about 5,000 content creators, and there's power in numbers. So the more content creators we bring on, the bigger the audience grows. The bigger the audience grows, the more ad revenue it attracts. So going back to your question, this is not a get rich quick scheme. The bigger I get, the more money comes in, the more money gets dispersed.
And when you run it down like that to creatives, journalists, they say, oh, there's a lot of numbers in that. Give the background on you, because you're a finance guy. So, give some info for that, please.
Sure. So my background is not media. I worked at Lehman Brothers downtown Chicago. I then moved from Chicago, came to Florida. I worked at boutique investment banks, and we raised capital for private deals. If you want to know what I do, that's what I do. And so this particular deal, like I'm doing a capital raise, but it's not the traditional way, which you normally go to institutional money because they're the people that have all the money. The problem is, I don't need to tell you this, but the reason we're in the mess we're in today is because there's 6 companies or 6 institutions that control the legacy media. And you've seen the Sinclair Broadcasting with the 50 people, 50 TV saying the same thing at the same time. Kellen, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, well, it came from one entity, one person sent it, corporate sent the message, and they're just reading off teleprompters. So to me, if, we're doing something called an equity crowd fund, and the reason I chose that was because it allowed everybody to participate. Like, I'm pretty sure you never got a call from Silicon Valley saying, Kellen, we've got some YouTube stock or some it's private right now, but you could buy Facebook for $1 or you could buy Amazon for $1. It never happened, right? You want to know why? Because you're not what part of the good old boys club and you don't have like $1 billion to be throwing around. And so private placements, the only people that can participate in private placements are people that are accredited investors. And what equity crowd funds do is they limit the size of the investment, but everybody can participate. So you could be a person that, only makes 20 grand a year and you could still make an investment in these things. Because to me, if we're supposed to be a news organization that's by the people, for the people, shouldn't the people own the product, right? Not the institutional players. So that's the reason for that. So I wanted to do it via an equity crowd fund. And so that equity crowd fund is, we've sold a third of it. I'll finish the rest of it out. First, I'd like to say I'm going to be done in the next month, and it's very possible. But I want to finish that off and then go to another.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At CPRfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Kellen Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at CPRfirm.com.
Can you give the audience even a little more game on that? Because I talk about being a very small member of Florida funders here where they don't want to give you $1 million. They'll give you 10, they'll give you 5. But we're in this TikTok generation. People think like, oh, well, if I can get that money, I can go then buy my Ferrari. And they also think that they could get in some of these deals. Some of these deals you have to be invited to. They're not for everyone, like you were saying. But can you give more into what you can and can't do with the money and what that process looks like? Because I'm just kind of flabbergasted and I'm like, that's embezzlement, I thought.
Oh, are you talking about the equity crowd fund, people investing in it?
With getting, let's say, VC money, since you know how to raise money, people think that you can raise money and you can do whatever the heavens you want to do.
Oh, no. So you have a use of proceeds. And, we have a deck. So if you go to YourNews.com, you go to the bottom, it'll say invest, which takes you to a page, which is not mine. It's our company, but it's a platform called Issuance Express, which is owned by a brokerage firm called North Capital Partners. So in order to do this, number one, it takes a lot of time. Lawyers, accountants for audits. There's an expense, probably ran me $40,000 or $50,000 to set up. So background checks for everybody that's management. You can't have any criminal record. You can't have any bankruptcies, anything like that. So they do all the work because if you're scamming somebody, they're going to be liable. Okay. So you have a use of proceeds and your job is to say, here's what I'm going to do with the money. And mine's real simple. You have a core infrastructure of salary. You have a marketing team and you have a tech team. That's pretty much my whole business, right? So it's pretty simple. This much money gets deployed here, this much money. Now, once I finish this one, I go to a $5 million raise, completely different use of proceeds, right? So different valuation. So right now the company is valued at X. The next one will be at least 5 times that. Okay. At least 5 times that. So hope I answered that correctly.
No. And I thank you. Sometimes I think I'm like the Charlie Brown parents where it's just womp, womp, womp. He's just a hater. And you can do this. And again, TikTok, A lot of people think they're getting great education, and I say I don't know. I don't see the most knowledgeable people on there, but also it's for the kids. So can you let the people know it's not just writing though? You can also do video. You can also do podcast. Can you explain how that works? Does it all work the same? Do you get paid more doing writing than you can on video? Because people may get confused if they've never, heard about this model.
The simplest way to explain, because he's right, Kellen's right. We do audio, video, and print. If you do, audio or video, there's an embed code on YouTube or Rumble or Spotify, whatever you're using. There's an embed code you could play, so it actually streams from your channel through us. So you don't really notice the difference. It looks like it's playing on our platform, but for content creators use platform like Rumble or YouTube or Spotify specifically because they're central hubs that have the tech in place where they can be monetized to make money, but they're all independent. So here's the trick to journalism in the future. Build your social media followings, okay? Get those bigger. You want to get it from, 1,000 people to 100,000 to 1 million. The platforms, people that produce content typically don't sell ads, right? They're too busy running around, covering stories. They have to worry about, hey, you want to buy an ad from me? Right? They don't do that. It's the platforms that do that. So your brand is your brand. You're going to submit that content to a platform and share it on social media to however many followers you have. The people already like your stuff. They're requesting it. They're just going to click the link, and the moment they click it, the platform will have ads sold and you'll get a percentage of the ad revenue. So if you have 10 people click it, you make X. If you have 100 people click it, you make 10 times X. If you have 1,000 people click it, you make 100 times X. That's how it works. So for anybody that's looking to get into the news business, because here's the beauty, you don't have to, but you don't need to be a journalist. You could actually sign up and create an account and you could become a local news reporter in your area. Just like you can sign up on YouTube and become a broadcaster. I mean, how many people really went to broadcast journalism school to get on YouTube? I mean, nobody, right? And you're either good or you're not good. And the marketplace will let you know. When it comes to what we do, if somebody's going to the city council meeting or school board meetings or high school football games, if you're already there, why don't you produce a story about it and then share it with the community, right? That's what news reporting is. And you could leverage artificial intelligence for that. ChatGPT, you can plug in notes and tell it what you want. And when you get what you want, you publish the article and share it with the community. So it's really about independent journalism, leveraging platforms and building social media to build your brand. We're just distribution and monetization. That's the key to this whole story.
Hello, everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. You explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
I remember when, the ads, and people would say, oh, well, if I can just click my own ad, whether it be music, whether it's back in the GeoCity days when we all were like, hey, we're website designers, without having to know code. And then you learn code and say, no, we're not. But can you tell the people, don't just try to click your own ad. It's the same way, like if you try to do it on YouTube or Rumble or any other, you're not going to get the views because everyone's trying to, figure out a way to break the game. And that's not the way, unless I have something wrong. You tell me.
You're talking about like hitting your own article to make it appear more?
And refresh and refresh.
Yeah. So here's the issue. There's a user session. Okay. So we know the IP, how many times it hit it. So it's only going to count for one time. You could hit it 1 million. It's only going to count for one. It's all based on your IP. You'd have to actually log out and relog. I mean, it'd be a massive pain in the ass to do. That doesn't mean that you can't run an ad on, well, it wouldn't be for you, but business and sports. Somebody could read business, then they go to sports and the same ad appears, and that, it's still 2 impressions. But when it comes to people clicking that stuff, it'll never. Technology is too sophisticated for that stuff, right? Because you could it's all based on a user session. And if the same user is hitting the same ad, it just will only show up once.
And you see this even with labels. They've been caught phone farming and doing all type of things and going to different countries and trying. But why not put that time into actually trying to make a great product that people actually want to listen to or hear or see? Is my quote.
Yeah, I mean, you're either a news reporter or you're not. People are either going to like your content or you're not. So the whole key is basically everybody will be news reporting in the future are all independent entrepreneurs building their own brands. They're leveraging platforms which have communities, right? Like, you realize there's 50 million people on YouTube, right? There's 250,000 on Rumble, but there is so much traffic going to YouTube just through osmosis. If you threw a channel up, somebody's going to find it, okay? So as we build, like right now we have little over 5,300 news reporters. Will eventually be 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. Remember, there's 100,000 cities, Kellen, 5 people a city. I'm sorry, there's 20,000 cities. So 5 people a city is 100,000 people. We haven't even begun because there's all these different categories. There's home and garden, food and wine. People could do restaurant reviews, theater critics, faith-based stuff, travel news, Second Amendment stuff. I mean, it's endless, okay? Politics, business, sports. So you could, my guess is it's going to be the 80-20 rule where you'll have 1 million people sign up over time and you'll have a couple 100,000 people that are, using it daily, right? Producing content daily. But those are going to be the ones that are most popular all over the United States producing content. So the future of news is going to be independent journalism, little entrepreneurs, if you will, that are going to be building their own brands, and they're all going to want to be the next Tucker Carlson or Meg Kelly or whoever it could be Tim Pool or whoever it is. But without the platforms, you're never going to go anywhere. You need the platforms. That's the community. Like, by the time I've got 100,000 news reporters, I got 5 or 10 million readers. You see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Which means people are going to find your stuff no matter what.
Are there any hacks that you can give people? Because people think, oh, if I just share it to my WhatsApp group or my favorite Facebook groups, the people who know me will watch. Are there any tips and tricks that you've seen that work for YourNews.com?
Well, those are definitely good. You want the content creators to be able to share that stuff with their people. But the second piece is compelling content. Stuff that's really good. So that's up to the content creator. I've seen stuff that we get in that I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible, but you can't say it, but you're just going, oh my God, this person ain't going to be around long, because if I'm looking at it doing that, then other people are going to open that story. What the hell is this, but it's really comes all down to the talent of the individual, right? Everybody in college wants to go pro, but how many do they really take, right? So you're going to have, groups of people that are, here, and then you're going to have people here, and you're going to have people start rising, right? But the cream always rises to the top. It doesn't mean mid-level people aren't going to be making any money, but the ones down at the bottom probably won't even want to participate. They'll probably end up leaving. Hence the YouTube channels you go to that was 3 years ago was the last posting. It can assure you it wasn't because their bank account was so filled with money they couldn't put another nickel in.
Well, and with that, what's a good range of viewership that you've seen someone have? Because somebody might come to YourNews.com that wasn't popular on any other platform, but they found popularity for whatever reason, right? The algorithm is loving them. Are there anything that you can see or have any testimonies maybe of people who have really won on your platform and they weren't known on others?
And we're not there yet, Kellen. I mean, I wish I could say we were. I do know that, one of the gentlemen on Rumble told me that after a month, because he had so many followers on, I think it was 5,000 on following on Rumble. And within a month, he jumped 500. We jumped 10%. So he goes, the only thing I could equate that to is you, right? Not like it's 5,000 more. I mean, 10% jump, but that would be the only thing. We haven't gotten to that size. Once we get bigger, that stuff's going to kind of fall into place. So we'll probably start looking at some of that stuff later. Right now, we're in our infancy in terms of doing this. And ask me that question when we get to 50,000 content creators. I'll answer.
Got you. And everybody starts with an audience of 0. You've been able to build it up. You've been able to have people come back and return. So that says so much, because somebody could be hearing this and say, oh, I want to do that. And I would say, hey, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and figure it all out, do you accept interns, staff members, again, people out of work? But there's also a lot of college students who they almost don't want to get an internship. And this is one where you need an internship to get your feet wet. So do you offer any of that?
Well, if you're in journalism school, when you get out of school, the only thing you're going to get is an internship. That's just how it works. You got to go start at a newspaper, a radio station, or TV station and work your way up. The reality is, Kellen, I'm telling you, this is the greatest time in history to be in the news business. Want to know why? Because if you're coming out of school, how long do you think it's going to take you? And I don't care what you write about, sports, politics, doesn't matter. How long is it going to take you to become the big dog in your town writing about sports or politics? I'll tell you how long. Probably 30 years. You got to wait for the guy who is the big dog to die or quit, okay, until you could get there to take his place. So now it's the wild, wild west. You could immediately take his position on YourNews and you become that guy. And we monetize you instantly. So for anybody that's in journalism, that especially people coming out of school, I would suggest you go to YourNews, go to the bottom of the page and click the Become a Citizen Journalist and watch the videos and then scroll down and fill out the application. Because chances are you're not going to get a job. There's going to be no jobs coming out of that. The more months go by, the worse it's going to get. And eventually there's just going to be absolutely nothing. I had 2 conversations about a month ago with 2 girls that came out of school a year and a half ago, never got a job. None. Zero. So this is where it's all going to be, right here. And if we do this right, we are the next mainstream.
What about, and I know this can be done globally. One of my biggest issues when I get to speak with Google, YouTube every year is them being fair in their monetization. And they'll say things like, well, Americans don't really care what's happening in Poland or in Kenya. But I said, but if a YouTuber is getting the same traction and you're running the same ads, since you guys want to talk about fair and, all of this other stuff, which only happens at carnivals, cotton candy and fairs, that's where fair is. This is business. But is there any way where somebody in a Poland or Moldova or Kenya can get paid the same amount as someone in the U.S.? Because $5 to us, that doesn't mean too much. $5 to other people sometimes means, hey, we're eating today and tomorrow.
I send money to people in other countries every week. And I'm telling you, it's called World News. You ever hear of it? We have a World News section. Okay. Yeah. So there's people that have signed up, on LinkedIn. I'm not just taking US people. I'm taking people all throughout the globe. So I have people that are boots on the ground reporting in Ireland. I have them reporting. I just picked up somebody in London, England, the first one. I just picked up somebody in Venezuela. A journalist said it's so corrupt here. We want to let the world know what's happening. So that person, all their content goes in World News. I have them all. Well, when I say all of them, I probably have about 40 or 50. So out of the 5,300, a very small amount, but it's just getting legs. So yeah, I want World News to come in. I want those people to come in. I'm the local paper in every city in America with USA Today wrapped around it, with Associated Press, with the stretching the globe. Make sense?
Oh yeah. And there's no subscription, at least as of yet. So everybody can read and watch and listen as much as they want without feeling like, oh, I got another subscription I have to pay for, which is beautiful for times like this. What about, are you doing courses? Are you doing books? Are you doing talks around the country on this? Or are you so focused on, getting your raise that you don't have time for any of that?
I'm focused on the raise. However, I do know that at some point in time, we're going to have probably Zoom classes with specific individuals. Like Alex Newman came on board. I talked to him yesterday. If you look him up, you'll see who he is. He's, big in, in the journalism world. And Alex wants to be part of training the students on how to become better journalists for the people who want to, right? So as we get that list bigger, we could send an email out saying we're having a class. If you want to learn how to do this, whatever the things are, and for people interested signing up, here's the link to sign up and join at 7:00 on Thursday. We haven't done that yet, but he's pushing me to do it because he wants to put his fingerprint on this and help the younger generation to become better journalists.
Nice, nice. And I'm going to push you on the book because everyone at least has one book. You're doing some cool stuff that's inspiring. What chapter are you in your book, in your manuscript?
Good question. Well, I never thought about writing a book. However, I think this whole model, remember, if we win, and I don't see how I'm going to lose, this becomes the next mainstream media. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, this is like going from the telegraph to the telephone, right? Or from the horse and buggy to the automobile. So I think that would be very interesting. And the chapter we would be in would probably be, I think we're probably halfway through it. I do, if not further, if not, over the edge. I think, the next steps are going to be scaling up the issues and the problems you face till you get to the exit.
And I can only think of some of those problems, like when you start paying too much money overseas, because I've had that issue with clients, and you get those calls, and what are you guys really doing? and those calls can be interesting. You're sending all this money out. They'll think you're Pablo Escobar or something like that. Are you ready for that smoke? There might be a government agency who says, "Hey, we didn't get our cut."
I don't know. I mean, I never had that problem because I don't send that much money out. But look, I guess we cross that bridge when we get to it. That would be the greatest problem in the world to have. How much do you need? What's your cut? Right? I don't know. I mean, there's platforms, like I use for share money, right? Which, I just put in the banking information and it sends it. It's really kind of cool, So that's one way to do it. Otherwise we use PayPal or Zelle.
Okay. Well, Zelle is great if you're here. If you're trying to pay, again, I always mention Kenya because it's a place I can just zone out. This Hakuna Matata for real. But once you send over $13,000 on these platforms, World Remit, I'm talking about you, Sendwave, Ripley, I really like y'all, but they start to get all up in your business. PayPal sucks after a certain dollar amount. It sucks. You would think you're doing something, improper. But I love what you're doing. I'd like to know, and you've talked about it this whole interview, but maybe you have a different one, a community give back that you're doing, or one that you would like to do in the future. And if there's a way that the community that's experiencing this right now can help, please let it be known.
Yeah, well, give me an example of what you're talking about. What community you?
But it could be what you're doing already with giving unemployed journalists an opportunity, or it could be, giving out turkeys or food, just anything.
No, I get it. So, Kellen, the focus for me right now is to make sure that I would say this is just a global thing, that, we don't end up in the mess we were in before. I mean, the reason we're in this mess is because of the media. It, and I know it. It's because the media was not telling the truth. They were omitting things. They still are. I mean, they've just become so irrelevant. It's not even funny. But what I'm doing is I'm working my ass off to create a platform, which is a free speech platform that allows everybody to be able to contribute and everybody to have a voice, no matter what your political view is, right? I mean, as long as you do it by the rules. I mean, even if you have an opinion that I completely disagree with, we will still publish your opinion, and that's what it should be. So for me, this is really about, making sure that the people own the next free press, not the institutions, and that we create a home for the journalists to be able to submit their work freely without any censorship and get paid for it. And I'm in the building stages, so it's not like, I won't tell you that you're going to make $1 million on this, but I will tell you this: get me to 100,000 news reporters and watch what happens in the amount of ad revenue coming in. We actually have a revenue model that could generate billions a quarter. So it's there. You just need to build it.
I love it. This is really giving an opportunity, doing a master's in mass comm and seeing only me and one of my people who are in class, be doing media still, and one is in the military. So he's had to be like in Pakistan and Uzbekistan for the last decade to do it. It just shows you that there's not that opportunity at CNN waiting for you. I don't care if you're born in Atlanta, don't care if you're born in New York. This is like Holly weird, and not everyone's gonna make it. And Sam, you've really highlighted that to the point where when they start asking for lawsuits, because nobody can pay their student loans back, they tell me, they might ask you to come, be a witness. There is a way to pay your student loans back. It's finding your purpose and maybe getting other jobs, go to the oil field, something. But give us any last words, and I just thank you for your time.
Okay, sure. Yeah. The watching over the last 40 years, what has transpired, because I got to tell you, 40 years ago, it was like you could make money doing, anything. I mean, money was easy, was falling off of trees. I mean, when I was 22 years old, I was making $250,000 a year. And that was back when gas was like $1 a gallon, right? When milk was 50 cents, when bread was 50 cents. I mean, it was crazy. And then nobody was paying attention, Kellen. And all of a sudden, all this regulation came into play, and all the money was funneled up to all the good old boys, right? The people who basically paid for it, right? And that's why we're really in these big problems. I mean, basically, we've been getting ripped off for years. I'm just turning this on a little bit of political rant because I'm optimistic about the future and what's going to happen. I think once you have a people-powered press, I think this turns into the next WikiLeaks. I think that, remember, I'm Hiker Local News, but I think, the media was basically the gatekeeper to decide what runs and what doesn't run. That's why they didn't run the Epstein story, right? That's why these stories get held back, because the media is hiding from you. The new way of media is going to be, you're going to have somebody that has dirt on some mayor in Omaha, Nebraska, right? Which nobody cares about, but the Omaha, and that shit's going to run. And that's the point, is that now you could have a free press where information flows freely without censorship based. Did you know that at a newspaper, there's a content review board at every paper, not the editor? I'm talking about, it goes before the board and they decide what runs. So the reason I know this is because I had a journalist call me, an investigative journalist, and she specifically wanted to talk because she said, I've been a journalist, investigative journalist for 20 years. I will spend a year producing a story and I dot every I, cross every T. But when you bring it to the newspaper, this is stuff the public should know. They could nix it and they don't have to tell you. Then Alex Newman told me something different. He goes, not only could they do that, they could change the story make it the opposite because you work for them. So he says it happens all the time. Well, now the news reporter is the journalist, they're the editor, and they're the content review board. If they say it runs, it runs. We're just distribution for the content. That's it. So we don't fact check anything. That you're a journalist. The only thing you have is your credibility. The moment you lie, the public will let us know, and we will get rid of you. So if you're telling the truth, God bless you. That's what journalism really is. So I'm excited to be doing this. I want people that are looking for work that want to be part of something big. They could go to YourNews and they could click the Become a Citizen Journalist button at the bottom of the page and create an account and start reporting local news in their community. And if they want to make an investment, you just go to the bottom and click invest, read all about it. If you like it, make an investment, $200 and everywhere in between.
Only if they would have listened to George Carlin when he was talking about us the politricians and everything else in the media. Sam, why didn't you yell louder with him? I don't want to blame. I'm not blaming you.
I know. George Carlin had a microphone. He's been saying it for years. So
Yeah. Yeah. And for those who are fans, he actually has something in depth that somebody has put out. You can thank AI. It gets close, but if you miss some of the greats, you can check it out. But Sam with YourNews.com is truly alive. The best is yet to come. So I want you guys to go check that out. Links will be in the description. I know most of you might be driving. Please check it out after you drive. I don't want to get any emails saying you wrecked your car listening. That was so good. We want you to sign up if you are a journalist or you want to be a journalist. In the words of our president, what do you have to lose? That's my Irish twin. We're all crazy. But you guys, make sure you comment, make sure you like, but most importantly, I need you to share this game with someone that can give them a purpose in life where they may be feeling so down right now. They might have lost their job or not been able to get a job. This is an opportunity for them to highlight themselves and their talents. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand or 10,000 Kenyan shillings or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.
Hi everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.